Sup, botanists? Alright, so today we're going to look at seedlings and basically how we can affect them growing. So by the end of this, you want to be able to explain what a seedling is and draw a diagram. Once coming up, you should be able to use that. And you also want to be able to explain what the requirements for growth are. In particular, we're going to look at something called limiting factors. So remember, germination is the process of a seed sprouting, and that plants require oxygen, water, carbon dioxide, and light to grow. Alright, so seedling. Essentially, these are your different parts of a seedling over here. This is a primary seedling, this is a secondary seedling. This is what it starts as. This is kind of where we, beyond this, we sort of stop calling it a seedling. And they are the young plants post-germination is what a seedling is. So what are some limiting factors? Well, a limiting factor, these are anything in an environment that's what controls how much the plant can grow or how many of them could grow. For example, all plants need those four things, and you can be in an environment where there's lots of light, lots of water, lots of carbon dioxide, but there's not enough oxygen in the soil. You just won't get the growth. That's the limiting factor. In Australia, the limiting factor tends to be soil nutrients, or water. Soil nutrients or water, which is why weeds are a massive problem. When you get lots of weeds, they use up the soil nutrients in a very efficient way. The native plants can't grow. But another example is plants in a rainforest. Plants in a rainforest have all the water they could need, all of the oxygen, all of the nutrients, but it's a very light, poor environment. For example, wavelength and intensity of light are very much limiting factors. Plants tend to utilize this area here, so your violets and your yellows and reds, okay? Also your violets and your reds and oranges. And this is called the action spectrum. This section in the middle here, this is all reflected. So these are your greens and blues. These tend to be reflected, and that's what gives plants their green color. So this is the action spectrum. This is the section that's useful. This is the section that's useful. Now, low light intensity will also reduce the rate of seedling growth. Okay, so if you don't have enough light, it won't be able to grow. It might germinate, but it won't be able to grow. And eventually, if you keep pumping in more and more light, you'll reach maximum seedling growth and plateau, which means something else is limiting the growth of those seedlings. Okay, so something else has become a limiting factor. And we see that here. So light beneath, this is just a unit of light. It's not the unit we use, but you'll get the point. Beneath this level of light intensity, respiration is actually stronger than photosynthesis, which means you have more carbon dioxide being used than more carbon dioxide being produced than you are drawing in. So respiration's going more intense than photosynthesis. Whereas over here, once we get above that certain light, we can see that the more light we get, the more photosynthesis happens, which we are measuring here with CO2 being used. Until we get to this point here, where it starts to plateau. And that's light as a limiting factor. See you in class.